So, welcome back to another episode of The Creative Real Estate Agent. I'm your host, Anastasia Forrest, a broker associate with eXp Realty and creative person. And today I've got an awesome guest with me, Christian Codd. Christian is a real estate agent based in the Pacific Northwest. My connection with Christian is basically that he was at one time, several times, I just realized because we were just talking about it, a St. Augustine local. He lived here a couple different times, like I just said, graduated from Flagler College, which is our St. Augustine's local private college. He studied philosophy and Spanish before he returned to the state of Washington, where he was born. Christian is very creative. We actually have a lot of mutual musician friends from the 90s St. Augustine music scene. And he continues to play a lot of instruments, write songs. He's acting VP of Bokeh Drum and Dance, which is a West African drum and dance community exchange. And all the while where he does real estate. So he puts on a suit and sells residential and commercial real estate out there in Greater Seattle, Washington region. The Greater Seattle, Washington region. I'll get the hang of this. There's a lot more. We're going to get into it. But welcome to the show, Christian.
Thank you, Anastasia. So good to be with you.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm happy to reconnect with you.
Indeed.
Yeah, I saw you on LinkedIn and I was like, oh my gosh, Christian is doing real estate too. And music.
Yeah, exactly the same. Exactly the same. And I remember seeing yourself and Sean. It was a few years ago when you started and you were like playing music together and singing for the real estate thing. I was like, oh, I love that doing this. It just resonated, resonated with me the same. So it's great to see the shine from coast to coast.
Yeah, right. That's awesome. Yeah, we try to fit it in one way or the other. It's part of our soul. And when we're musicians, music is always a part of us. So
Indeed.
Let's talk about music first before we get into the business stuff. So I see a lot of instruments behind you. I feel like this question could be longer and a longer answer than I thought when I thought of it. So what instruments do you play, Christian?
I play a lot. I'm an acoustic musician. I love like world folk music is my favorite. So you don't necessarily need electricity and just music for celebration, and kind of it opened up actually in St. Augustine when I was in college, and some friends were playing music, like Sam Passetti, of course, is a local celebrity and just a great human being, and Kyle and all these friends playing music, and it just resonated with me so deeply that I was like, I want to connect with the world through this space, and so instruments just started showing up. The drum showed up really quickly, and I loved the connection with the drum, and that quickly led to, the African diaspora of music that opens up, all of West African music and Caribbean music, and it's just a lot of celebration. So guitars, and I love the balafon, and anything that's going to just kind of move the heart and soul and body. Angoni, this is a beautiful Angoni from Burkina Faso from Aruna Diarra, amazing musician, human being. And
cool.
Yeah, I just, anything that feels good. I love to play the piano also, kind of as a songwriting base. It's not my main instrument, but as a drummer percussionist, it's just amazing to have all of the keys out that way. You can just feel the resonance really deeply. So
yeah, I bet you can create a lot of interesting textures with all of those different instruments.
Yeah, absolutely. And much like Afro-Cuban music, where you'll hear all of the rhythms in the piano, you can really see it translated like from the drum, the traditional drumming, into these classical instruments as well. It's really fascinating.
That's awesome. Very cool. That's great. What kind of, that's your studio, right? That you're in right now?
Yeah, this is from this COVID situation, everything kind of like merged into one place. And so this is my work office. It's a kind of yoga meditation space, music studio, and it's just kind of where all the magic happens. And for me, and you may resonate the same, it's nice to have all of these different pieces that are like central to who we are, including our business, in one space to create. And so, for a few minutes, maybe sing a song or something comes to heart, and we're like, hey, I want to like write this poem right now, and then we jump on a call, or work on some email projects and expand that way. So
That's
nice
great.
to have it all centrally located.
That is very convenient. I will be honest and admit right now I'm sitting in my daughter's room. So I'm looking at a bunch of like toys on my left, and so her closet's over here with all her little 4-year-old clothes. And
I have those.
I
Those are
took
around.
over.
Those are around too. Yeah, lots of toys.
But yes, one day I'll have a room and I'll have it all in one room. But we do have a great music room over in that direction where we have our piano, and we've got guitars and a record player and a chair, and can look outside and look at the intercoastal, and it's good. So it's not far away. It's all here in my house. Yeah. Well, cool. What kind of music do you listen to? Like, what's your favorite
Oh
music to
gosh,
listen
I
to?
love. I just love music that is, heartfelt and sentimental, and that just kind of opens up, you know, through story, like with rhythm, deep rhythm. I love a lot of West African artists like Ali Farka Touré and Boubacar Traoré. They're like old Malian guitarists. There's a whole lot of Cuban music that I love. Denai Suarez, amazing artists, and a lot of my friends are a big inspiration, and like I was mentioning, Aruna Diarra, he's a member of Rice and Appalachia, and really good friends with them, and Biko, and just love hip hop. And I grew up on hip hop and soul and reggae, and Motown is a huge influence. And so merging all of that into like my own, experience of like singer, songwriter, poet, muse, through it all.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, it's nice to have friends that are musicians because you're like surrounded by inspiration. We were actually listening to Sam Passetti the other day. We didn't realize his CD was in our record player. It's been there for years because we haven't used that CD player in a long time. And Sean, I don't know, I guess he noticed it was in there. He's like, oh, let's listen to that. It's so good. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
He's a gem.
So much talent. So I was gonna add, before I get too off topic, because we're gonna get into the conversation and where it goes with real estate and all that. But your middle name is Sun, and at first when I was putting the show together, I was like, should I say Christian Sun Cod? Because I remember our mutual friend Joyce would call you Christian Sun. So I think of that as being attached with your name. But then I was like, I don't know. So what that's a cool middle name. And I was just curious where that came from.
It was a chosen name that I picked up out here when I was in Seattle. And it was my first winter. The Sun is, Christian Anthony is my my given name from my grandmother. And it was my first winter in Seattle, and being from the Sunshine State, and it was like cold and dark, and I was in a basement, and I was like just really missing the sunshine. So I just like, drew and painted like this big sun, and I put my name on it, and it was kind of like my little meditation spot. And then it just resonated so deeply. I was like, Christian Sun, that's my name, and I have the shine, cultivating, within. So it keeps me warm.
Cool. That's nice. We we named Ophelia, our Sean's and my daughter. Her middle name is Rain.
Oh, beautiful.
Last name Forest, middle name Rain. Kind of ran with the theme
Oh,
there, the rainforest. But that's a great story. I know. I can imagine after experiencing the sun and beauty of St. Augustine, going somewhere where you got those rainy days. I know you've got beautiful seasons over there too, but
absolutely gorgeous right now. And it's the special thing about the Pacific Northwest is that it's one of the last rainforests in this region. And so they built a city in a rainforest. So it's not actually a rainy city. It's a beautiful, majestic rainforest all around.
Oh,
And
wow.
where we reside is on an island, Vashon Island, and it's strategically located in the middle of the Salish Sea, the Puget Sound,
Mhm.
about 15 minutes away from downtown Seattle via boat. And so it's, just beautiful, beautiful island, with woods all around, and Metropolis is just a stone's throw away.
That's paradise. The best of both worlds. That's so
Yeah,
neat.
it is.
So let me get this straight. Do you have to hop on a boat to go to the
Dude,
mainland?
yes,
Yeah.
it's one of
There's
the
no
largest,
bridge or anything.
no bridge. Yeah, it's one of the largest ferry systems in the world,
Okay.
and through the Washington State ferry system. So yeah, just hop on. There's hundreds of cars, that go every day, maybe even thousands, just in this island. So
Wow.
yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
It's nice. Either you're on an interstate or we're on a boat, and we'll watch Mount Rainier via sea. It's perfect commute.
How cool is that? That's way better than being on the interstate. I loathe the interstate. I mean, it's great for the purpose it serves, but it's just so weird. It's such a weird feeling to be in the middle of all those cars and on those bridges and just in the middle of the sea of humanity in their little boxes on wheels.
Yeah, it's another meditation, really. It's how we get to our,
Yeah.
it's like our teleport system currently.
Yes.
Designing a better future is our goal. That's why we're in real estate, is to design a better world.
I love it. Yeah. Way to bring it full circle to where we're heading next in our conversational journey. Because so real estate is actually that's part of the theme of this show, along with creativity. And I want to talk about you. And basically I mentioned this to you off the air, that like when I saw you advertising your real estate or talking about real estate, and I made the connection that you were involved in real estate as well. I wasn't, so maybe surprised is the wrong word, but I was like, it caught my eye because it's just a totally different side to you, and it's probably not unlike the reaction that some people that have known me for a long time might have. And they're like, what? Anastasia's doing real estate? Like I don't see that. But I know that people have many sides. So, but I remember you as, a troubadour, a musician with long hair, meeting you. I remember meeting you downtown on St. George Street. I think we were both maybe busking, like playing music on St. George Street. And, that's how I remember you from the music scene. So how did you get into real estate from music?
Yeah, it was this interesting progression, right? So I, started a family, and it was kind of time for me to step up as, as provider, and I, from traveling to West Africa and the Caribbean and Jamaica and traveling around the States. And I, my aunt works with the Native community out here in the Pacific Northwest, and I was inspired to be a land use attorney. And I was like, I want to be a land use attorney, and I want to work with communities to help create equitable opportunities and redesign cities and landscapes instead of the boxes, and so I felt like law was the way that I could kind of come in and work within these development arenas. And so I took my LSAT, and we moved out here to Seattle, Washington. I was going to get my residency before starting law school, and I just like peaked at real estate, and I was like, oh, okay, this is a certification that I can get, and I can jump in to business right away. And initially I was gonna just start real estate and then do law, and then I just recognized very quickly that I can get where I want to go with the vehicle of real estate, and just hire an amazing attorney that focuses on that only. if I ever need
Mhm.
one.
Mhm.
And so I feel that real estate is like one of the best kept entrepreneurial secrets, for people that are creative, that are searching for their niche or something to do. Because who are your clients? Everybody is your client. It doesn't matter. We all live in homes. We all work in office spaces or buildings or creative atmospheres, or we're farming. Whatever it is, it involves land and real property. And so taking that, merging the entrepreneurial mindset with the creative mindset, in a professional way, just kind of holds space for this like new paradigm of mixing profession, like art and real estate together.
That's really well put. That's interesting. I didn't realize that you initially were pursuing law, but I get it. Like the bar to become a real estate agent is a lot lower than to become a lawyer, and a lot cheaper too. I
Yeah,
mean, as far as the entry level, once you get in, it's a lot
yeah,
of work. You got to work to earn your stripes.
yeah,
So,
absolutely. It's I mean, we sometimes work like 70 hours a week or something
yeah.
in real estate.
Yeah.
Um, and it's about consistency, and create you create your business, through your cultivated efforts. So it's inspiring. The platform is amazing, and the interconnectivity of different communities and people that are drawn to you and that you're drawn to, and then our modern communication you know through email marketing and all of this stuff is just fascinating.
Yeah. Zoom, Zoom
Yeah, Zoom,
meetings, and
of course. Yeah,
all kinds of different ways to connect with people, social media. Um, yeah, we've got a lot of vehicles
mhm.
for connecting, for sure. And it is all about connection. It's a people business. It's a community, a community business. So, what inspired you to move from you started out with residential, right? And then you also practice commercial real estate, right?
Yeah, do commercial and residential is. I love residential because it's working with families and individuals that are just growing wealth and equity, or just their own special sacred home. Just their just the temple space. So I love that, and the cycles are quicker than commercial. The commercial cycles are very a lot longer. There's a lot more moving parts.
Mm-hmm.
So I love the residential aspect because of kind of the relationship, the intimate relationships of bringing food to the table and being together that way. And um, I growing up in the country in Florida and Crescent City, we um, there's thousands of acres, with friends and family that we just grew up on. So I love like large tracts of land and like creating space that way. So I was very much drawn to the commercial aspect. You'd see, development sites and 5 acres that could be, a housing community, or old buildings that can be repurposed. And the the creative in me was very drawn to that opportunity of like seeing a space and learning a need from the community, or seeing an opportunity like, hey, what about this right here? And this would be an amazing cultural center. This would be a great apartment site or something like that. And so you just kind of um, work in that way, and start to network with people who are developers that are building, or different community groups that are looking for childcare or education. And again, applying that, like, it's all contracts, and it's all the English language, which is really fun. So as a writer and a poet, like, the contracts are actually very creative. And so once we learn how the contracts hold space for the different opportunities,
Mhm.
we take that professionally, and then we apply it to this creative vision. And so very much we are like a kind of like a channel and a conduit for opportunity.
Mhm.
And then we dial in like the funding side and the due diligence and the feasibility, and Commercial is all about the numbers. Is it going to make sense? Is it going to be a strong ROI? And, or is it going to have a great, cap rate? And then residential is very emotional. It's like, does it feel good? Does this home or property set my family up for the future for equity? And that's kind of, being a teacher in the past, I taught for almost a decade as well. And I approach real estate in that same way, clients. I'm like, what's your life goals and your passions, and what's your vision for your family? And let's focus your home around that. And when you find your home that's going to feed all of these areas, then you start to create abundance, and you have equity that you can, invest in rental properties or take vacations or whatever it is. And, I have some clients even a few years ago asking like, do you think I'll have equity in my home? And I'm like, absolutely, as soon as you close. And now their home has literally doubled in price, over 3 years.
Yeah.
So it's really inspiring, to use that educational opportunity to help people build wealth and equity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. It seems like the process certainly involves a lot of visionary skills. I mean, from what you were talking about at the beginning to imagining what this building could be, this would make a great community center, or and then even on the listing side, where we're helping clients prepare their properties for listing and listing them.
Yeah.
It's a visionary task. Like, how can I bring out what's so special about this property and show it and express it to the public, so other people can they don't have to think about it too hard. They just, there it is, like beautiful photography or video, or even the words that we use to describe the property. There's
Absolutely.
a creative aspect to that for sure.
Absolutely. And then seeing, it may just be a piece of land to the seller that they just invested in, 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And knowing all the different nuances of the zoning and what's happening culturally, what are the movements, in economics that are shaping these particular communities. And then you have like a target audience, and you're like, okay, this is who's going to buy. And then all of a sudden you kind of like boil it down. And you say, okay, I'm marketing to these people.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it opens up.
Yeah. So you're out there in the Northwest. So are a lot of people flooding to your area as well, like they are to Florida right now?
It has been going on for a while because of I would say just the economics of Seattle in particular. We have a deep port here. It's a major port, so there's a lot of import that comes through here. We have like the world's tech giants are right down the road. So there's a lot of people coming here for business, and Amazon in particular is just like growing thousands of people a month. Still.
Wow.
So that economic foundation is has a big gravity to the Pacific Northwest, in Seattle in particular, Bellevue. Also, there's a lot of water and clean air and wilderness, and the mountains around. The quality of life is really good. The food is good. You put some seeds in the ground and you're going to grow kale all year round.
Awesome.
So
I love kale.
lots of flowers. I mean, it's just a really abundant environment, because it's a rainforest. And
yeah, sounds beautiful.
Yeah, and it is beautiful. So there's a lot of different reasons, like a lot of places are running out of water and a lot of fires, and there's been some fires around, that kind of have been happening. We see seasonally, like California, etc. So, a lot of people are just kind of moving up to get away from, the congested, other congested cities. And it's busy in Seattle, but you can live right outside of the city and you're like in this beautiful, pristine forests.
Yeah. Well, I imagine it's just going to become more popular as time goes on, and sounds so nice. Um, so maybe maybe we shouldn't tell everybody how great it
Yeah,
is.
it's the secret's out, but it's yeah, special
Same,
place.
same about St. Augustine.
I
More and
know.
more people have learned, and it's the secret's out.
Yeah, I love St. Augustine too. It's beautiful, beautiful environment with the
Mm.
ocean and
Tropical. It's nice having that. I'm appreciating more and more as I get older, the warmth. I came from New York. I was born in upstate New York. So when we first moved here in 95 or 94, I was 10. And I was like, oh, it's so hot. Like we moved in the middle of summer. It was so hot. It's too hot. And now like I appreciate the warmth. I'm more sensitive to the cold, and this week has been like a really nice, like it's starting to warm up, and like a really nice spring weather week. And I'm just like, oh, I love the sunshine. So
special
yeah.
springtime. It's amazing time of year.
Oh yeah. So great. So you place a big emphasis on community because I went and saw your website, by the way. It was cool. That's community is something we're all obviously a part of, but not everybody focuses on it, or I think is even always that aware of it. We get in the me, my mentality. It's just easy to do. But we all are connected, very connected.
Absolutely.
And, in our relation, we live in relationship with others and with the world. And just I was wondering where your awareness of community and your appreciation for community came from.
You know, I feel like it was just part of my life growing up, and growing up in a small country town in Crescent City, Florida. It We were all just together, and there was a lot of diversity just naturally, just from living close and grew up speaking a couple languages and just having all these different aspects of community around, and through sports and like the YMCA and these like kind of community organizations. Um, and then moving into um, after college and getting into like West African drum and dance and just the community celebration, like everybody comes together and just celebrates the joys of life and, you know, and happiness or sorrow, whatever it is, we celebrate life's, all life's moments. So I just feel that that's where we're better collectively. We have more abundance when we focus on our collective growth.
Mm-hmm.
And Western culture has focused so much on like individuality and individual character, and you can rise to the top and be whatever you want to be, which are all true. And the more that we walk side by side, hand in hand with our loved ones, with our community, the more abundance and prosperity that we're all going to share. And we could get into like these mass philosophical imbalances that we see in, well, it's not all, butterflies and rainbows. There's a lot of inequity that needs to, that we're in the process of balancing out, and we can do that through community work and through celebration and, creating different initiatives. And, as a connector, I see like, hey, do you, work with one community group? Do you know this group over here that are doing these things? You'll have a similar resonance. Let's break bread together. And just creating these different portals of new opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
And bringing it together in a way where we can, grow and prosper and enrich the youth. For me, it's all about like, how can we enrich the lives of the young people, and then, take care of the babies, and everything else is taken care of.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. That's beautiful. That's neat. And the role of, making those connections between different groups and bringing them together. That's really cool. So I'm guessing that that's part of what you do with your real estate is
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you've been able to infuse your passion for community into your business.
Yeah. And it's just kind of a natural draw. I work a lot with the West African community out here.
Mm.
And, and it's, you know, initially through, introduction was through music. And I was like, hey, I have a deep reverence for your cultural heritage and traditions, and I'm working in real estate, and I love to like work together because, after traveling in West Africa and like learning how people live there, and then being a liaison here, like, hey, let's help the communities, have like a more of like a symbiotic relationship to traditional culture, and just really honoring people's needs. And like, there's some really high professionals in tech out here, and in law, that have like these great community visions. And so like applying our real estate knowledge to their goals and visions, saying, yeah, I can help manifest this. And you just work together. And it's really inspiring. And I learned so much. I feel like I'm I'm learning from my clients all the time, and these amazing groups and companies and nonprofits that are, have a lot of success, and they're doing great, building amazing community centers, and learning from other professionals that are doing, similar practices and similar work, and in their own ways, in their own music, or whatever their initiatives are. It's inspiring to have that diversity in this
Mhm.
business. And it's, for me, it's not transactional, it's relational, and it's really about building the relationships in the community. And like, I'll never sell a house to somebody that I wouldn't go visit them at. I'm just
Mhm.
like, I wouldn't buy this house. Like, I just don't like it. And
Yeah.
this is why there's a huge power resistor right outside the door. It's like, yeah, it's a great deal, but you don't want the vibration here is not what you want to be in.
Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it's just about sharing the opportunity, like the big picture, in full transparency,
Mm.
and then holding space for that to open up.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, I think um going back to like different cultures and how you're talking about, approaching different groups and different cultures. And I think probably you're traveling and the fact that you studied Spanish and just it being you've exposed yourself to other cultures and communities. And I think sometimes it's intimidating to approach somebody coming from a totally different background, because maybe that person is maybe I would be like nervous, like, well, maybe they're not going to like me, or they don't want to talk to me, or who knows. But I think the truth is most people are wanting to, just human connection, and we are all just human, at the end of
Absolutely.
the day, we're all very, in that way, we're very similar, but we all have different backgrounds and experiences and that make us who we are. So
Yeah,
it's interesting finding ways to, but we always can learn. Like there's always things to learn. Like you said, you're learning from your clients.
it's like Einstein says, never lose a holy curiosity.
I like
And,
that.
and that's kind of how I approach all of this. Is like, with reverence. And it's like, wow, this is amazing opportunity to learn and to share and to support and co-create. Because with clients, like, we need the clients just like the clients need us. It's like a beautiful symbiosis, where we work together and create, you know
Yeah.
this like magnetic space that opens up, and then all of a sudden, we go to like a baby naming ceremony with some clients that close the home with 100 people, and this is like this beautiful celebration, and that you know was maybe just a 45-day transaction, and it's just the celebration continues for years.
Hmm.
And, it's really sacred.
Mm. Indeed. our homes are so integral to our lives, and so there's an element of it that I feel is sacred as well. Um, so I want to, in a few minutes, I want us to play music. I loved your
Yeah.
idea that you
Sure.
mentioned. I think
Let's
that'll
see.
be really fun. But before we get there, do you want to tell me, like, how do you deal with pop-ups? We were talking about this on the phone when we were talking about our upcoming conversation, that, one of the things with real estate is always like, you're basically glued to your phone. I mean,
I know.
there are times when perhaps you can set it aside, but part of our job, and part of us being good at our job, and part of us being really, useful to our clients, is that we're available, you know.
Mhm.
So, and then again, also on the outlook for, well, maybe there's somebody new that needs me, and if they call it, I want to be able to answer the phone. So
Absolutely.
how do you deal with the pop-up world that we live in, in this modern age as realtors?
That's a big question, and it's a big, you know, there's a lot of balance and something that a discipline that I'm learning. There's a lot of really it's about the systems that we have implemented, and you know, I've worked with teams that have like these big systems with callers and inside sales assistants and transaction coordinators. Um, I don't have any of those currently, and like I've just kind of recreated this foundation that I want to build into this new way. So as much as we can leverage, really it's about leveraging our time and bringing other people in that have a skill set that's specific to what we need.
Mhm.
Whether it's design, or if it's somebody that's on the phone, somebody that's really good um, with organizational skills, and all these little tasks that we can share with somebody else that is great at them, most likely better than me at many of those things, especially a lot, like I'm not a graphic designer, I need somebody to do that stuff for me. Um, so opening that up, it gives us more time for these spontaneous spaces, and
Mhm.
then just holding setting boundaries, and especially as my kids get older, and I want to spend more time with them, we have to say, like, okay, like I'm not going to work this time, and actually like letting clients know I'm not available this weekend. And usually when we set that precedent and we just communicate or with what we need, people really respect the boundaries. And
Yeah.
we just say, hey, this is where it's at. This is the information. Working with a network of colleagues that are great. I mean, because the region is large. I mean, I have a partner in Kent that I could call, and he could show a house in 30 minutes if he, if I have something that comes up quick. And the same in North Seattle, same on the east side. So,
Mhm.
I have a brother here on Vashon. He's in Florida with his family, and he texted me this morning, hey, can you show a home,
Mm.
meet some clients, down the road? Like, absolutely. So it's really about, again, comes back to community,
Yeah.
and we don't all have to do it ourselves. And we just really like communicate and set up a web that where we're able to support one another through these different ways, and we can accomplish more together, and so as we apply these different systems, implement these models that can grow exponentially,
Mhm.
um, it gives us more time for the spontaneous, because that's also how the music comes in.
Yeah.
I'll be driving and I'll have to like sometimes I'll just like pull over and I'll have like tears in my eyes, and I'll just have to write like, okay, I'm writing a poem. I was on my way to an appointment, and this song just like, you know, came through, and now I just have to like take 30 minutes and just write, and that's also, being spontaneous to the call, right?
Yeah.
And, part of our sensitivity is being available for that. So if we're always bogged down and always um, rushing for something, and the number one secret, and I have a senior mentor. His name is Breffney, and he's an Irishman, amazing commercial real estate broker. And he kind of, he's kicked me a few times. And the first time he's like, stop running around and trying to figure out what other people want to do. He's like, just create what you want to see. You know, you know language, you know the contracts, you have a vision, you see a property. He was like, go for it and create the space. And it just like turned a light on me, like, oh, I can create what I want out of this. There's, there's 450 acres that is available for years, or 10 acres over here that people don't know what to do, but I know what's really good there. And so we work out a contract with the seller that says, I think I can support you in this. Mm-hmm. And so that level of creativity is really inspiring, because they're like, oh, you're actually a visionary that can open this up to a new opportunity. And the second piece is meditate and do yoga in the morning. Like either Breffney would say, either you're leading the day or you're chasing the day, and it all depends on when you start your day and when you wake up. And so getting up, before the phone starts ringing, before the kids need food, before the birds are chirping or as the birds are waking up, and spending that quiet time, whatever it is that charges you, if it's yoga, if it's meditation, if it's a walk, if it's just sitting and writing, that sets you up for that being present in these spontaneous moments and making good decisions and like opening up to the prosperity that's cycling around. For those aha moments, that's what we look for, those little aha moments. And we're talking, and all of a sudden we're like, hey, I know this property, I know this seller, I know what you're looking for. Let me make some connections and I'll be back with you.
Oh yeah. 100%. Yeah. I feel like, doing, spending time in meditation or prayer, or like you said, like just aligning yourself. It just puts you in that intuition space, which is actually really useful in business too, because it's better than the brain just kind of that hamster wheel. It's almost just like you get straight to the heart of it instead of
absolutely
chasing, like your mentor said.
Yeah, absolutely. And people, and that intuition is really important, because we know, we have to know what's going on. And they're like, how do you know this is happening? I'm like, this is what's happening. I can feel, what's happening on your side over here. And you don't have to tell me what you guys are deciding necessarily. This is the direction that we need to go, because this is what's happening for all of us. And so my client needs this from you, and can you please meet us here? And they're like, okay. And it's that level of intuitive communication that often wins deals, because you understand what everybody needs. Mm-hmm. And it's, we have to create these winning environments for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, this has been so great. I love this conversation. Let's move into some music.
All right. Will you share first?
I was going to ask you how you wanted to do this.
Either way, I mean, so many years, I would, I love the duet that you and Todd used to have. I mean, y'all were still in high school and we were in college, and y'all were just sharing such beautiful music with everybody. So.
Oh yeah, it was a fun way to spend the teenage years, that just getting to explore music and learn from people like Todd, and it happened to be in a great community for music with a lot of really inspiring musicians, and opportunities like playing on St. George Street, for example, just getting to share. So, okay, I'll share. This is a song, I didn't write this, but I actually haven't met her. I haven't met any of them except over the internet. But when I went for my like 12-year cancer checkup at the Proton Therapy Institute, there was a little girl there. She's 9 years old, and she's on her third recurrence of cancer. So she's here in town for that. And she was singing in the waiting room. I didn't see her. My dad took a picture of her, but they had brought her karaoke machine, and it was just precious, and I felt, he had her business card, like that showed her cancer journey, and it had, her basically like the Facebook page for her. Her name's Celia Grace. And so I reached out to her mom, and I've become friends with her mom. And she's going to, I think, do not a whole concert, but there's a band that's going to be playing. And I think Celia is going to sing like a couple songs,
Oh,
like on
that's
April
beautiful.
17th. So I said, I'd be happy to back her up with some guitar, or whatever. She's, if she would like that, and either way, I'm going to be there. I want to meet her. But her mom sent me this song that she says Celia's been singing. So I've been learning it just in case. So I'll be prepared.
That is precious. What a gift.
You meet the people you're supposed to. I was like, this
Indeed.
isn't a coincidence that this little girl's here singing in this waiting room.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're broken down and tired, living life on a merry-go-round. And you can't find the fighter, but I see it in you, so we're gonna walk it out and move mountains, move mountains, and I'll rise up, I'll rise like the day, I'll rise up, rise unafraid, I'll rise up, I'll do it 1,000 times again. And I'll rise up, high like the waves, I'll rise up, in spite of the ache, I'll rise up, I'll do it 1,000 times again. For you, for you, for you. It's longer than that, but that's the first
So beautiful.
part of it.
It's
Isn't
like
that a nice,
church.
inspiring
Like
song?
feeling
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
that's what Sean said. He says it sounds like a church song.
Yeah, it's like, and church is not necessarily in the traditional sense, but like this is like, you know, holy, and that's what music can take us to these places, and it's anointing.
Yeah.
Oh, I love your voice. It's so nice to hear again. Just like all these emotions kind of flood in from being inspired, back in the day from listening to y'all sing for hours. Before I was even a musician, really. Like that was right when I picked up a guitar and I hardly even knew how to play, and just like keep showing up and be like, hey, show me this chord, and and that's fun.
Yeah, and yeah, that's a fun place to be in when you're just inspired to pick something up and absorb it.
Yeah. So this is I'm not I don't know any traditional music on this Ngoni, and it's very much my teacher, but it's just fun. It's just a beautiful instrument. I have a couple different tunes. I kind of feel like singing this one. I just kind of use them as prayer, really. So yeah, and again, so this is Angoni made by Aruna Diarra from Burkina Faso, and it's a gourd, a calabash gourd with 10 strings and with balafon wood. You can kind of see a little bit of the balafons in the back. It's a beautiful musical tone wood. Does anybody care about the world today? So la was written with my brother Biko of Rising Appalachia, and singing to Salilo, which is this beautiful waterfall that's held captive by the Dow's Dam outside of Portland, Oregon. And Salilo is the epicenter of trade for 15,000 years of the Salilo Wayam people. And part of music is to tell a story and to sing songs and open up space for transformation.
I knew you were going to say transformation.
About the world today, is it you or who? Is it right now or when? Is it right here or where? Does anybody care? Salalo, I'm calling to you. Salalo, so I will sing for the river. It carries in my soul. From the top of the mountain to the deep sea, we all are one. Salalo, I'm calling for you. Salalo, we are calling for you. Does anybody care?
That's beautiful. Gorgeous. That sound of, that's an African harp, right?
Yeah, this is a West African, it's the hunter's harp, and it's a very mystical instrument that is played in ceremony. And definitely for all of the listeners and viewers, like, please look into Aruna Diarra's music. Burkina Strings is his website. Follow Music Horizon Appalachia. You can get to know how the folk music merges, because they very much play like a world folk music, and build community through music, which is really important to hold space for. I haven't played this song in months, but as we're talking about community and real estate and land, and it's just important to share.
Yeah, it's soothing. And it's also like inspiring, like a call to action, but a nice, gentle call to action.
Yeah, it's just like a little push from the universe, right? It's like, come on.
Come on.
We could do this together.
We can do it. Yeah. I loved it. It was so nice. Thank you so much for sharing that, Christian.
Yeah, thank you. It's fun to share songs. I love the platform you're creating. Thank you. And as soon as I saw that you started this, I was like, oh, it's so important. And it's motivating for me to add more into, through my real estate and, taking it, my big vision is to build community, and we're launching an eco development company, like a seed to shelter, green materials and development company that is, the whole initiative is to create equitable housing, and it's important. The resources are available, the knowledge is available. We just have to hold space and apply it, and so again, using our professional entrepreneurial minds with our creative minds to coalesce into this this space,
Absolutely.
I love
it. That's a good, cool project.
It's inspiring. So I'll keep sharing that with you as we continue to move forward. And I can't remember who who this quote is from, but it stuck with me. It's an artist doesn't create how they live how they create.
Ooh, that is very, very deep, like turns me inside out. Think about that one. It's like a koan or something.
Yeah, it is. And it's, I think about that sometimes, especially when I'm chasing the day, when I, did it to my yoga and I'm like, okay, I'm trying to catch up. And then we're like, no, actually, this is my time. This is my opportunity. And you approach it this way, and everything changes. It's like changing the magnetic pole, and all of a sudden we become, we have like a harmonic resonance with our goals and our community and our family and our relationships. And
Yeah, it's
there's
like,
a lot to learn. It's always constantly happening. So
yeah, I guess that's what being centered means.
yeah.
I think plugged in.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, cool. Well, before we go, definitely let people know how they can get a hold of you, whether interested in, working with you on a real estate deal or getting involved in one of your projects or music
Absolutely.
even.
Yeah, absolutely. I have some songs that I'm gonna be launching here and working with Lucho at Fish Tank Studios right there with you in St. Augustine, my brother.
Fun.
So yeah, I've been sitting on some gems for a while. So he's helped me build a music studio over here. Like, these are the things you need. These are like the acoustic sound. And so I have this that I'm launching. That's christiansun.com is my website. I don't have anything on it yet, but it's going to be. So by the time people start re-listening to this, they can plug into there.
Cool.
My real estate and business is I Am Goldfinch is my website. And goldfinch is the, this mystical bird of the Pacific Northwest. And of course, like residential real estate and commercial goals, I love that. I love to work with housing, developers and community builders, hospitality, even though it's going through a major transition. And I think there's a beautiful cultural shift to more like resort, eco-resort type hospitality properties, and funding as well. Like through the commercial world, I've kind of made a connection through private money, and can help get private money for projects, for groups working on $11 million fund for a townhome development right now. And it can go up as high as people aspire, 200 million, 300 million. I mean, these are like high-rise projects. It's not like little homes. It's funny, like the smaller deals are a little bit there. Sometimes it's harder to get, like $1 million, $1.5 million, because it's small. But you create these big opportunities where there is a lot of equity in activating these spaces.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of abundance around, and people want to share it. And so we have to structure it in this particular way that the prosperity is for everybody, for the investor, for the clients, and for the community.
Amen. Well, that's great. So this has been so much fun. It's been a real pleasure, Christian. Thank you again for doing this.
Yeah, thank you. The same, Anastasia. Thank you for the opportunity to share, and it's so good to see you, and love hearing your music again. It's really special.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's been a nice mid-Friday treat to get to have this conversation and trade music.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So
All right. Well, I'll see you around, and thanks again.
yeah, for sure. Likewise. Have a great day.
You too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.